Hi guys and welcome. Today we're going to do these beautiful little accordion pockets. So we're making them out of 12 by 12 paper, and what we've got in here, I've used little coin envelopes, but you can make them yourself as well. And in that I've just got, you know, some journaling cards that I've made out of some scrap cardstock. You can put stamping or something on that. I haven't done. I wanted to leave these ones blank, but I have done them in 3 different colors, as you can see. All right, beautiful. So I will also link the measurements of these down the bottom, but basically it's just the width because we're going to keep the length of the 12 by 12. So in inches, it's 3.5 inches wide. So if I just grab my trimmer, I've already got a couple cut, but I want to cut one just to show you. So have a look at, you know, which way your pattern goes and what you want as your top flap mainly, because the other we sort of cover up with a bit of decoration anyway. And this is the same paper I used on this one. So the part folding over was this part down here where I kept just that pattern there. So that's why I say think about what you want that flips over as your top, and I'll show you what I mean there. When you get your paper, have a look at each end. So that would be the end coming over if we kept it like that, which is pretty cool as well, but we're going to cover most of that up. So I turn it around and that's how I want it, which turns out like that. So what we do here is, and I'll measure that for you, we fold it up about 4 3/4. So if we have our ruler here, 4 3/4 goes to there. You can score it if you want to. And then we leave a bit of a gap here when we're folding this over. And with this one, I then trimmed a little bit off, but you don't have to. And the reason I did that is because the square bit of ephemera that I used, I wanted it to finish off where that flap come. Now that's not quite straight, so I'm just going to straighten that up. So that's your folding. So if you open that up, you see that there's a bit of a gap there. So if you wanted a longer tab, you can bring it down a little bit, but because we're putting an accordion pockets in here, and then I like the journaling cards, or you might want to use tags, sticking out a little bit for easy to pull in and out, I've left a fair gap there. Now I'm just going to, what will determine how much we cut off that is I'll just see if I've got any more of these around, which I do. You can see they're the same. I'm not sure where. I think they were a 12 by 12 piece of paper that had different windows on them, going by that. Possibly Kaisercraft. And then I've gone out and cut the individual ones. So we want it to have a little bit of a border down the bottom, and I can see that I'm going to need to cut a bit off this one. Taking it up to about there, which it will probably end up being the same width, as you can see, that mark on the corner there, same width as the one I've got there. I'll just bring my trimmer over and cut that. So if you want me to give you the measurement of that flap bit over the top there, it is just slightly over 1 inch. Got that one, and I'll round the corners. Beautiful, and I'm going to just throw quickly some ink on that. too much because I like the pastel look of this paper. It's fairly vintage anyway. So I just want to sort of take the white off the edges, which is one of the main purposes that we distress or ink the edges, and to just blend it in a little bit. Okay, so the next step is to then glue that down. So we don't want it tucked under there. We want to bring it down a little bit and have a bit of a border down the bottom there. So I've grabbed my art glitter glue, and I'm not going to ink the edge of this one. I don't want to frame it too much. It's already got a border on it, because the cluster or the layering cluster that we're putting on top, I will ink the edges of those ones. Now I'm using some portrait photos. I'm not 100%. I don't know whether they're either Tim Holtz ones that I've cut down or, excuse me, a digital download. So I do apologise, but use any photo you've got. I'm using on this one a more closer one, and this one I used a more further away one, but entirely up to you. If you don't have photos, then you can use anything. You can do it with flowers, buttons, butterflies, anything like that. Now to layer it up, I just grabbed some scrap cardstock. I've got a drawer of scraps beside me, so and I wanted the darker colour towards the back, so I'm just going to neaten that up just a little bit. I'm going to tear down this. So I usually tear right around first, and then I play with the sizing by then just tearing a little bit more off. So at the moment, because we want it to go in that frame, but if you didn't have anything down like that, you could play on the size and have it as big or as small as you wanted to. And yep, I like that. Now that back one I'm having, excuse me, straight down like that, and then the next layer I'm going to turn a little bit just to give it a little bit more dimension again. I'm just going to take a small bit off because this photo's more square. And then just turn it on an angle like that. And then we're putting the photo on that. It's just so you've got bits hanging out like that. Alright, so we'll glue those down. Now I am going to ink the edges of these ones just to highlight it and blend it in. Not too much, just enough to define that edge. Then we'll glue it down. And then we glue this one down. And then we get our photo. I will distress to take the white edges off that as well. might go a bit heavier. I'm using scorched timber, so it is normally dark. My Dauber sponge is falling apart, so there's pieces of it everywhere at the moment. So I'm going to put that one down, but before I do that, on this one I put a little bit of sari silk just out of my scrap. See how that's already folded over? I actually thought, oh, I can put it, stick it down there. It just adds a little bit more texture to the layering and the cluster. So I'll throw that on there and then I'll stick. So as you can see, sari silk's usually crushed anyway, so you get a little bit of ruching there. And art glitter glue dries fairly quickly. Now I'm going to stick the photo down. And then when I was making the first one, I thought, well, it just needs a little bit more. So then I've got some of this ribbon. It's like a little hessian, but it's very frayed on the edges. Now you can flatten it out like that, but I actually liked it just the way it was. So it's curled up because it's been in my scrap drawer. And then I sort of just threw it down a bit. So you could get some cotton and twirl up if you didn't have anything like this. You could get some material and fray it a bit. Now I might use material glue for this one because it's a little bit heavier body. So I'm just keeping it in the neutral tones. Didn't want to take it too much away from the photo, but I just wanted to add. Now you could put some labels or wording or anything like that, but I've actually gone with buttons. Now this one's fairly beige in relation to this one. I had like the green. So I think we might try and bring some different colors into the mix. Maybe that green, I like that. And maybe a brown or a grey. That's very similar to that background there. Got a bit of a button drawer here to play with, maybe that darker one. So I do like that green, so we'll go with that. It does have a sticky back, but I'm going to add some glue to it as well. I like the position there. And then this smaller one. And then I might just put a really small white one. So I'll see what that, I've got white and clear. I'll see what they, so I've got a frosted, could go there, or a white one. Or we could go Actually, I do like that one. So like it's like a little flower. Actually, I like it there. So it's actually like a little flower or rosette. Lovely. So remember, we haven't glued this down, and we're not going to glue it down, but we want to put some sort of a closure up the top. So you could have a bit of cardstock there, across here, and have that tuck in there. I actually like this coin closure, so we're going to put one of those on there. I just find them just easy to open and close. I've got some prepared here. All I did was to do these, so I used Crafts cardstock, and I've glued two together to give it a bit of strength. So to make these, I just used, say, a hole punch. So if you've got a hole punch or a crocodile, put a heap of dots along, and then I got a small circle punch, lined up as best I could that hole in the middle, and then punched them out. So that's how I've achieved that. I'm just going to get two small ones. So I've got sort of two different sizes here. So two smallish ones, because those ones are a little bit big. And then we want, excuse me, a couple of brads to fasten them on. And we want a bit of twine. So I've got this Hessian twine. We just need a bit of a length like that. So now we sort of want to work out where we want our closures. So that one obviously will go in the middle there. You can take it right to the edge. And then this one we want there. You want a little bit of a gap between it, if you can see. And then I'll just mark with a pen, basically a bit of a template of where you're going to punch the hole. And then I just get a hole punch like that. And then this one. I'm going to give these a quick ink just to get rid of the stark edges and just grunge it up a little bit. And you can go as heavy or as dark on these. And then we just get one, put our brad through the middle, then through the hole, and then we split it at the back. Secure it down, so that's one. And the other one exactly the same. They're really easy, especially if you're doing projects and you have them already made. Like I usually sit down and do a mass make on anything like this that I know I'm going to use a lot of. And it takes all that you know, that work out of having to create one every time you want to do a closure. And then this twine, I'm just going to tie a knot. So I go under it like that, bring it around, and then I just tie a knot. So the knot will go under that. And then I'm just going to cut the edge off that one. And there we've got our closure. So it just loops around and loops around. You can go a couple of times, work out how long you want it. I don't go too far past here, but you can wind it again and it will take it up a little bit just to hang there. You can put charms or beads on the end of that as well. So now let's do our accordion pockets. which you may have seen done previously, and there are videos out there on how to actually make them if you don't have them, but I'll give you a quick demonstration. So these are like little seed envelopes or coin envelopes, so I bought them in bulk. So I want one, we'll just go with 3, the same as I did the other one, but you can go 4. Let's just go 3. If you didn't have that and you just had some paper, just grabbing some paper, and you just had some paper, you would have to measure how wide to go to get the end result, but this one may even be wide enough. So you get your paper and you go right, just so it overlaps just a little bit, like that. And then you would glue down there. Now the bottom you would notch a little bit off, and you could fold over. So you would fold over, say, that much. And then to take the bulk out, I would cut these 2 insides. So you would go glue, 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 and then work out how high you wanted it, and then you'd punch a hole in it like that, and you've got your pocket there. Okay, so but we are using these ones, so I'm going to measure how high I want them, and I'm just using off the other ones, and I'll tell you what the measurement is if you're making your own. 4 3/4 it is. So I'm going to use my trimmer just so I get a straight line. So 4 3/4. Hopefully it'll go through the whole lot, which it has. Now, because we're gluing these together and they've got to stay uniform like that, I'm going to try punching my notch out all together, and it has worked. I think I tried 4 yesterday and it didn't quite work, but it actually cut the sides, and then I just went in and finished them with scissors. But you could certainly cut your own notch out if you didn't have a circle punch. And then I find what side's got the seam on it, and I just run a strip of glue down. I'll just move that so you can see, make sure I'm in camera shot, down the seam and then across the bottom. That's why it's important to cut your notch out first, because you don't want to stick it together. Put the other seam down, get it exact. As close as you can, because there's not a great deal of wriggle room. I will cut that slightly off just to trim it up. That one's fine. And then the other one the same. So we want a bead of glue down here and then across the bottom. And then we're going to stick that one down. Just going to let that dry, and then we get our, and what I did, I just inked the top edge, because that's the one that we're going to be seeing And you could definitely do this before just has to be a little bit. You definitely do it before you glued them together. And just taking that raw edge off. And now we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to put a line of glue down there and across there and also on the back. And then we're going to stick it in our pocket. We turn it over. And then we want to put it right down on that fold and then bring our covers up. While that's drying, let's make our journal cards to go inside there. So just grab your scraps once again for that. I'll go the different colours again if I've got enough. Let's see what I've got. I think I went those ones. I might have gone. Sure, because this one's lighter, I'll take that darker one out and just go those colours. Now when you're working with scraps, you want to make sure that, you know, they're not going to be too wide for the pockets. This one I already know I want to trim down a little bit, but I want them fairly the same size. So these two are roughly the same size, so I'm going to cut the other one down, and they are 2 3/4. Now we also don't want them to go up too high here, but we can certainly have them coming out of our pockets a little bit. So if we take them basically just a bit over like that, and I will cut those down. We'll just cut this cream one down a bit, and then we'll work out how wide it is. What do you say, 2 3/4? So they're 2 3/4 across, and they are not quite 5. So you could go to 5 inches on that, and it wouldn't hang out too far. Now I'm going to round the corners, and you don't have to round the corners. That's just something I like to do, especially if you know you're going to be pulling it in and out of something. Corners can get quite ratty if they're left square. These are so much fun because they just give you so much more journaling space, and they're, you know, they're a little bit of fun having the accordion pockets. Great way to use up your scraps. putting too much ink on. If you wanted it darker, you could go around it again, but you know, as long as you grunge it a little bit and you take off those stark edges. You know, you could even put little pockets on them. You could put stickers on them, you know, a word up the top, even just a little stamp down the bottom. And then when we open up our pockets, so it should open up like that because we've got all the things joined together. I'm going to put our journaling cards in here, and of course you could have turned them into tags. You could even stuff these pockets with ephemera if you're giving it away in a swap or a group. And then we just tie it up like that. So there you go, guys, a quick simple little project. Great way to use up your scraps as well. If you've got 12 by 12 papers, sometimes we have that, just that strip left over. I didn't on this occasion. My strips were a lot thinner than that, so I did cut them off. But apart from that, you know, the rest of these are just scraps that you can use up. You know, we always keep these little bits and pieces. But I hope you got some great ideas out of that, guys. If you've got any questions, please put in the comments below. Thank you for your time today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.